Okay, so today we're going to be doing function operations. This is from your homework page, 432 to 433, number 3 through 19 all, and number 43. So let's start with number 4. Number 4 says, let f of x equal negative 3x to the 1/3 power plus 4x to the 1/2 power, and let g of x equal 5x to the 1/3 power plus 4x to the 1/2 power. Perform the indicated operation and state the domain. So number 4 is asking us to add g of x plus f of x. Okay, so let's go ahead and just write that down. G of x plus f of x. And then let's go ahead and write each thing down. We have 5x to the 1/3 power plus 4x to the 1/2 power. Put that in parentheses just to show that this is my g of x. And then my f of x is negative 3x to the 1/3 power plus 4x to the 1/2 power. That 1/2 doesn't look very nice. Okay, so now I need to add. Well, when I'm adding something, I'm not multiplying anything here, so I just need to add my like terms. And here it looks like I have two things that are to the 1/3 power. So I'm going to have 5 and a negative 3. And that would give me 2x to the 1/3 power. Plus, and then I have a 4x to the 1/2 power and another 4x to the 1/2 power. So that will give me 8x to the 1/2 power. Now, it does ask me to give my domain. So I have to think about the domain of both the g of x and the f of x. So my domain of f of x, if we think about this, I have a power of 1/3. So that means I can have all real numbers for this x. But because I have a power of 1/2, I can only have non-negative numbers for this x. So for f of x, my domain is non-negative real numbers. And if I look at g of x, I have the same situation. Because I have the 1/2 power here, I can only have non-negative real numbers, right? Because remember, the 1/2 power is really the same as the square root, and we can't have negative square roots to have a real domain. So together, we're going to have all non-negative real numbers. Our domain is all non-negative real numbers. Okay, let's move on to problem number 16. It says, let f of x equal 4x to the 2/3 power and g of x equal 5x to the 1/2 power. So the problem number 16 is asking us to divide, and we also need to state the domain. So we're dividing f of x divided by g of x. Let's just go ahead and write this out. My f of x is 4x to the 2/3 power, and my g of x is 5x to the 1/2 power. If I simplify this, I need to subtract my exponents from my x's because I have like bases. So if I subtract this, I'm going to just kind of do it off to the side here. I'm going to have 2/3 minus 1/2. And I need common denominators, so I'm going to change this to a denominator of 6. And here I'm going to have 4/6 minus 3/6 equals 1/6. So this is going to be my exponent for my x. I'm going to have 4 times x to the 1/6 power over 5. I could always write this. I could pull out the 4/5 to the front, 4/5 x to the 1/6 power. So that is the operation f of x divided by g of x, but we also need to state the domain. Okay, to state the domain, we have to think about f of x and g of x individually. So the domain of f of x, if we look having a odd root, we can have all real numbers because we can have those negatives in there. For g of x, we can have only non-negative real numbers because we have a square root. or a 1/2 power. That's 2 is our root. The other thing we have to take a look at is what's going to make g of x 0. So down here, I'm just going to write a little note. What makes g of x 0? Well, I have to think about, okay, what would I plug in here to make that whole thing become 0? And actually, if I plug in 0 to g of x, I'll get 5 times 0 to the 1/2 power. And that will make it the whole thing become 0. So 0 cannot be included in my domain because it makes the bottom 0, and we can't divide by 0. Therefore, my domain is all just the positive. Because remember, positive numbers does not include 0. It's positive real numbers. If you have any questions on your homework, please see me or Mr. Daniels. If not, enjoy the rest of your time.